They've just done it time in and time out. Motorcycle sidecars would not be the same without these guys to compete. So well done, Chris and Richie, as we get away to a good start. I'll tell you what, not bad as they try and put their nose in front. But I'll tell you what, the 42 in there, Drew Meyer and Alan Denneman get the better start. The Wellington combination on the motorcycle suspension session, mono short Yamaha 1000 powered unit. So nice that they get the breakthrough there. As we look out for the 73, these guys blitzing the field here yesterday. In fact, the gap that they had, 6.9, call it 7 seconds, which is big in racing terms, from Lawrence Brothers Extraordinaire and Drew Meyer and Alan Denneman to get the third. Andy Scrivener back in there with Warwick Demmix. Back to Pete the Pirate, back in 6th place. And I think something was up there yesterday because those boys just faded and faded. Spider, have you heard any stories as to why Pete the Pirate was back in 6th place for that one? Remembering... Oh, sorry. Oh, there we go. That's why that's no good.
All right, bit of paperwork issue there. That was a qualifying sheet. So what it proves is Pete the Pirate went from 6th and got up to second place. Yeah. So already 73 is cutting a track, but there's a big battle on there. The local man, Warwick Demmix and Will Clymer, the local team there in 3rd place, strong showing. They'll probably fade there, but they're having a good battle around the Christchurch Casino Carousel. Number 11 in 2nd place. 83 is the bike I was talking about, the local team in 3rd place. And then we go back to Pete the Pirate coming up on the inside and passing. There is a passing going on. Whether it's going to stick, and we go to the only 600 on the field. The Englishman, Greg Lambert with Julie Canepa doing the swinging. Great to see them. They come out for the Suzuki Series and decided to stick around, borrowed a bike off Pete the Pirate, and great to see them. So they're the only 600 riders out there.
And do you know that's a bike that's been imported from the UK because the Pete the Pirate is from the UK and he's brought it in. And that actual bike was one that Julie swung on many years ago, but it's had a few changes, and she's saying they weren't going to do the scrub session in the morning because it's really hurting her hip. It's much tighter than the bike that they're used to, so it's knocking her around a little bit, as we say. But it's an ironic story that it was a machine that she swung on many years ago, and Pete's imported here in New Zealand, and she's back riding it again. Great story, Spider.
That's a bit like going back to an old boyfriend, but it obviously works, and she's having a good time. But it is really great to see them.
Is a sidecar a male, is it?
A beast.
Oh, okay.
A beast, and some of these are out right now. Best of breed out the front is Barry Smith. We saw a massive crash with him, I think, with Robbie Shorter on the side there in the scope corner coming out of that right-hander some years ago. They flipped it and Barry smashed his collarbone. I thought at the age of the guy, not to be disrespectful, but pushing 60 then, he's never going to ride again. Had a season off, and all of a sudden the Carl Cox boys come in, and he did so well that they sent him and Tracy Bryan over to Knock Hill and another track in the UK. They had to fly from New Zealand twice to compete. So Barry Smith, mate, former World Championship competitor and British Superbike champion, I think, in the sidecar department. And, mate, he's just fierce on the track, and equally adept on the little 600 where he's ridden as well. He did half the season last year on the little 600 and then finished off the season on the big bike. So the battle is on for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, everywhere. It is Pete the Pirate and Kendall Dunlop. Kendall, talking to her this morning, she said last year every time she was beaten up, but this year she said I could do a few more laps. She has gelled with the sidecar. She's had a season to learn it, and Pete being a very experienced pilot, and hitting the ripple strip in behind them, number 99, Andy Scrivener with Tina McEwen there on the side, and he's getting grips with this bike. He was struggling yesterday just to find the setup. I think he's 8 or 9 times New Zealand champion, but it's the first season he's actually ridden the long bike, and a lot harder to drive, but they go round on the inside of the Rock FM Avon City corner along the front straight, and are they going to hold that second position? Oh, Pete the Pirate comes back with a bit more speed. So that's relegated the Lawrence Brothers back into 3rd. We go back to Greg Lambert, Julie Canepa, and there is Drew Meyer, Alan Denneman from Wellington going up on the inside at the end of the front straight, uses superior power, but Lambert and Canepa take the longer line right round the outside. And who's that on the tail of them? The local team, Will Clymo, doing the swinging for Warwick Demmix.
Oh, this is fantastic to see. And a lot of these bikes, of course, are the later technology. The LCR, for example, the Lawrence Brothers, they had their Anderson machine that is now out there with Dave McCarthy and Tony Yu, but they've realised, hey, they still want to compete. They still want to go better. They've still got aims of going back to the Isle of Man and doing some world-class sidecar racing. So they're making every post as a winning post by now, joining the state-of-the-art and bringing along their racing journey with the latest and greatest of world-class sidecar machinery. And that's just what's been so good in New Zealand ever since Steve Braun set the standard. A lot of people have forgotten it, Steve. He was not a popular man in the circle at that stage because it was the radical way of thinking. It was said, oh, this is only money talking. But hey, Spider, he did actually set a scene that the rest are just following it. It's almost the norm now, isn't it?
Well, Stacey Stella from Australia dominated sidecar racing in New Zealand on the really good gear for a lot of years. Steve Bron bought that bike. Within 4 meetings, he was breaking Stacey's lap record. So all the money in the world won't buy you that skill, that determination, that fitness level to be able to pump run of these. Remember, this is one of the most difficult, if not most difficult, motorsport in the world, sidecars, because they've got a left and a right hand setup. They're completely different beasts on a left and a right hand corner at every track and everywhere. The other thing, there's no real other motorsport that has a second person, be it jet sprinting, be it rally cars, where that second person is doing anything but moving, whereas the sidecar passenger on the road racing, and of course the dirt, is a very integral part of the weight differentials of the bike through corners. So very, very critical. Now, I'm a former New Zealand champion, 3 times New Zealand champion, and people say you're mad. I says, well, listen, at least the rider's got a bit of gear. He's got the brakes and the throttle. If he makes a mistake and wants to slow down a little bit, he can come back from it, but we can't. We can't, you know, as a passenger, we've got to be picture perfect. Everyone's trying to be picture perfect every lap, but if a rider runs wide on a corner, he's got the gear, the handlebars to steer it, the braking and the acceleration to do something about it, whereas the passenger has nothing and the rider often doesn't know where they are. So that's where the difficulty lies. And of course, the other thing with sidecar racing, being a passenger particularly, is because you're a lot of times on your chest or on the side of your rib cage and that, your breathing is affected, especially on the right-hand corners. You're leaning on your chest and that, so your lung capacity is not as much. So as soon as you come away from that, you've got to have bits on the track. You don't relax. You let your hands go on the handlebars a little bit to let them get a bit of blood flowing in them, which is increasing your strength on them, or bringing this, not decreasing the strength, as you know, if you hold something tight. The other thing going on there is you've got to tell yourself to breathe, because when you're on the next corner and your lung capacity is reduced, as we see Andy Scrivener puffing up a bit of dirt there in second place there, just on the hard charge, your lung capacity is reduced. So that battle going on, it is Tracy Bryan doing the swinging for Barry Smith on the Carl Cox motorsport machine. Sorry, Carl. Went to Carl and Wanganui, a world famous DJ. Absolutely, I've been to a lot of concerts in my life, and I'm not trying to lick his anything, mate. I'm just saying, mate, that was the most outstanding music I have ever heard in the presentation and all that. Anyway, they're out in the first place. Andy Scrivener and Tina McEwen go through in the second place. Look at that, 3 ladies in the top 3 doing the swinging. Tracy Bryan, Tina McEwen and Kendall Dunlop for Peter Goodwood as well. And we got another one there in 5th place, Julie Canepa doing the passengering for Greg Lambert. In fact, they've just swapped place now. Will Climo doing the passengering for Warwick Dimmicks has changed positions.
All right, good to get an update. Thank you, MXT. That's Motocross and Track Timing, doing our quality timing here and working in coordination, of course, with C-Test Live, so you're catching it as well. But we're now starting to get some updates. For example, our Superbikes now with 2 races, and that's the difference, 2 races. Daniel Medham's gone from 11 points plus 25 to 36, but of course with those 2 seconds, Mitch Rees 20 and 20 is 40. He leads by 4 points from Sloane Frost, then to Alistair Hugenbosom now, of course, with a 10, a 13 in there as well. Oh, sorry, my apologies, read the right line. A 25 and 0. Want to encounter there the 1 point, because of course you get 1 point for qualifying as well now. So that's something that's been taken on by the Suzuki Series and other professional events in the country. And here we are seeing now that the National Championship gives that 1 bonus point for being top qualifier as well. So Al, even though he crashed out, that one's still there, and of course he'll be back for the Grand Prix. My money's on him to win it anyway. Hayden Fitzgerald, Jay Lawrence, Connor London, Jeremy Holmes, David Sharp and Scott Moyer make up our top 10. Remembering Scott crashed out in that second race as well. So what an up and down championship we're going to see. So do check them out. Our points available now with 2 of the 3 rounds, and still to come after this. A quick break while we feed and water the marshals. Plus we're going to have the kids. I'll be down with the microphone in the pit lane and seeing our kids. The future, and Motorcycling Canterbury offers free tuition for kids. Free tuition for kids. Of course, they're obviously going to need parental supervision and mum or dad to come along and support them with their bike, but it means that they're going to be having fun rotating on a racing track as well. So bring it on. But right here at the moment, it is our sidecar racing, brought to us by Motorcycling Canterbury, and their Have a Go Day coming up on the 11th of February. What's Have a Go Day? Exactly that. Have a go on a motorcycle. Have you ridden your motorcycle on a racetrack, or have you got somebody else's bike that you want to go racing, or you're thinking about buying it? You can say to them, mate, can I come out and give it a go? That's the day to do it. Have a Go Day. Brought to us by Motorcycling Canterbury. Isn't it great, Spider, that though they don't have too many sidecars in their club and not a lot of sidecar events, they're a club that wants to encourage sidecars, and they're here to sponsor it.
Well, definitely. they're the most encouraging club throughout New Zealand, and demonstrated by that is the encouragement of the sidecars being at the track as well as the development class. Mate, some massive racing going on there for second and third. Right now we're going into Fulton Hogan. Pete the Pirate on 111 has got back in front of Andy Scrivener. As they went across the start-finish line, Andy Scrivener poked his nose in the front with Tina McEwen doing the passenger ring. 6,000ths of a second between them. 6,000ths of a second between them. So hot action there. And Andy Scrivener, as I said, struggling with the long bike, but starting to come to know. Tina McEwen, lovely sort of woman too. The sort of girl that doesn't do orgies because there's too many thank you notes to write. And she's just enjoying her husband down there. Well, ask her why she doesn't do them then. Anyway, back to the racing, and the Lawrence brothers still sitting there hot on the 11 machine there. Richard and Chris Lawrence's brothers from Auckland, brothers that have done the Isle of Man, I think about 4 or 5 times. Even Chris went over there and lived on the Isle of Man. He was so addicted to it. They sold their Anderson machine, which you'll see out there in the hands of number 67, Dave MacArthur and Tony New. And I'm thinking, oh, finally, after about 30 years in sidecar racing, those boys have parked it up. No, they went out and bought an LCR and just got back into it, and just wonderful to have at the track, and still hard charges.
Oh, look at this. I'll tell you what, there's Pete the Pirate. Is he so good? He doesn't want to allow those boys to get a slipstream behind him, so when they come out of the Rock FM sweeper, he went right over to the inside line. So if you're going to follow me, you've got a further distance to travel, and you won't be able to get a slingshot out of that slipstream to get an advantage at the top end of the straight. So good technical thinking there at the moment, and obviously, I should say, our swinger on board, of course, in that, the treble one for Kendall Dunlop, she's got to do some hard work on the back of that to be holding on. Spider, in fact, from an outside-inside point of view, here we are with an anti-clockwise track, and the sidecar itself on the left-hand side of the machine. Is this kind of track better than a Manfield as a clockwise one with more corners to the left, and that's where the sidecar swings? What do you...
I personally think the right-handers are harder because you've got that wheel underneath and you're trying to gain grip and all that. You're a bit more in the wind on the left-handers and that, but here, Ruapuna, it's just left, right, left, right. There's very little chance to even think and have time to chance to change your mind, so it's very, very difficult. Right, the field is each going. On lap 6, Barry Smith just gets faster and faster with Tracy Bryan on the side there. They are in the first position. We're followed by Peter Goodwood and Kendall Dunlop, Andy Scrivener and Tina McEwen, Chris and Richie Lawrence, Warwick Dimmicks, Will Climo, Drew Mayer and Alan Delavan on 42 and 6 spot, Gregory Lambert, Junie Caliper, David MacArthur, Tony New, Gordy McEwen and Jeff Davies, Phil Munro, Steve McInerney, Jared Winter and Kelly Winter there as well.
All right, here we go. An opportunity to take it on. New Zealand Sidecar Championship, sponsored by Motorcycling Canterbury. Your hosts here in the family of MNZ clubs, over 70 clubs around New Zealand that form part of Motorcycle New Zealand family, of course, affiliated to the FIM. And a special congratulations go to MNZ board member Big Mac Mike McLeod, who has now become a member of the CMS, which is the motocross board of the world governing body, the FIM, and we've had officials in the FIM before, but nobody ever on their individual board. So special congrats, and both Spider and I know Macca well from a lot of good years of racing and supporting motorcycling. A lot of people need to understand that's a real accolade, even though it's Nobblies in the third as compared to us with road racing, still part of our overall motorcycling family. As we know with Macca, he loves road racing as well. He's at Boxing Day at Cemetery Circuit every year without fail.
Oh yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with dirt racing, and we're lucky we're getting a few of the dirt riders coming into road racing. It's all just wind in the face and gear changing, except for, of course, at Whanganui this year when we had the first electric bike in New Zealand in the Formula 3 class. No gears on that. How does that work? No noise at all. It was just silent. You could just about hear the spokes ticking over there. It was that quiet. But back onto the track, and the big battle on for third, fourth and fifth, second, third and fourth at the Christchurch Casino Carousel. Not even a wheel length between Pete the Pirate and Kendall Dunlop on the 111, number 99 in there, and that's brought the Lawrence brothers back into it as well on their LCR Suzuki one, the number 11 bike, the bright blue bike with the yellow zigzag down the side, very easy to spot, and they are now going into the dipper, Neil Ritchie.
Yeah, there we go, and here's our front runners just going past us here, so look at that advantage for first back to second is huge, but I tell you what, second, third, fourth, right on each other's tails through the Sign Biz Dipper. Brand new sponsors to have our dipper here at the fantastic Ruapuna Raceway, saying a big hi to everybody over in the Denny Holmes stand today, so great to hear people that are over there. That's a fantastic feature of looking at this circuit, so you sort of look from the inside out, as it were, and us from the outside in, and a great spectacle to go over there. So beautiful spectating area all around here. People have gone on right around to ICOM as well. So good number of vehicles over in the car park. Great spectacle, and of course those that follow through the pits here as well. So fantastic. It's not just being online, it's being here, it's being real, and it's being watching racing. And great to see. Grandstand viewing of the highest calibre. Almost reminds you of Penguin Point, as I call it, at Phillip Island. Of course, World Supers will be there next month, so not too far away now. At the end of this month, there's only 3 weeks away, and the International Classic going to Phillip Island as well, and we will have a few of the Kiwi competitors over there, so all the best for those that are attending that event. So international road racing on our doorstep, and of course with Phillip Island World Superbikes and MotoGP. The other feature about their MotoGP round, Spider, is it moved one weekend away from Labour weekend. It's now gone to the last weekend in October of this year. So I suppose for those that used to combine it with a long weekend in New Zealand, it's 1 week later. But on the other hand, if you had something else to be doing on Labour weekend, now you might be able to make MotoGP at Phillip Island. So
that'll make it good, because I can go to Greymouth and then the MotoGP.
Yes.
I've been doing MotoGP, but the action is still hot through the Southern Salvage corner. It is Pete the Pirate on the 111 machine. They had a problem with their fast bike. This is only their second fastest bike. The white flag comes out, so they are in second spot there with Andy Scrivener and Tina McEwen and the Lawrence brothers there. You can see them coming out of the dipper now. All right, we've got a bit of a big gap there between first and second. Now they're on exceptional machinery. It doesn't take anything away from Barry Smith and Tracy Bryan to ride in this number 3 Carl Cox Motorsport bike. But Tim Reeves just come out for the Suzuki Series, 5 times World Formula 1 champion, twice World Formula 2 champion, and he's just won 20 British Superbike round races and set pole in every race on this same machine. And in his own words, I understand that he says this is the best Formula 1 sidecar in the world. But of course, all credit to Barry and Tracy there. They've still got to punt it around the track, and the team, Gavin Sokolich and all the other Carl Cox Motorsport team, for rolling up their sleeves and working on the sidecars and the solo bikes and all that. Don't forget, we've also got Toby Summers on the Carl Cox 600 and the 600 Supersport. Are we going to get a change of position coming out of ICOM into the hairpin? The Lawrence brothers, they always come on strong at the end. They've gone up on the inside. They always seem to put their fastest laps later on in the thinking. Maybe Andy Scrivener's tiring, but maybe it is that Lawrence brothers coming on strong. But Scrivener starts to come back in towards the Fulton Hoden corner. This is the 3rd place on the podium. 3rd and 4th place they're battling for. That's given a break to Pete the Pirate and Kendall Dunlop there on the 111 machine. They're going around the Christchurch Casino carousel corner as we look for the lead bike, the 73 machine, coming around the Rock FM sweeper to take the checkered flag for their 2nd race win for the New Zealand Superbike Championship Sidecar Class 2018. More sidecar and everything action down south. There it is, Dave MacArthur and Tony New goes through there, so they've still got another lap to go. They're enjoying their racing. Tony has, well, he come off at the dipper yesterday, but all right, bounced around, got back on there, so the team is good. David MacArthur's a big boy. He's been looking after his health this year, lost a massive 27 kilos.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, before you could just about put an X Factor shirt on and a helicopter will land on him, but he's seen that, and a great guy. He's lost a lot of weight and he's looking a lot healthier, and it's a shame his wife Maria can't be down, but Maria, I know you'll be watching at home. So David MacArthur, good on you for that health change there as we go across to 2nd, 3rd and 4th, and it was Pete the Pirate going through there in 2nd place.